Hey guys, what's up? Damn you, Kenny! Why can't you be smaller? For no reason, Kenny McCormick is there. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Q&A. This is number 93. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. And, well, welcome. Today I'll be answering your goddamn questions for the 93rd time. I think that's how it's pronounced. We're listening to the main theme of the strategy RPG crossover exclusive to the PlayStation 2 called Chaos Wars. How are you guys? How's it going? I hate the weather here. Hot at night, cold during the day. Cold inside, hot outside. It's terrible. Kenny, why don't you just go away? Why can't Kenny go away? What's going on here? I can't delete him. I can't kill him. He's tired of dying. Well, let me answer today's first question. What do you think it's the first question today? It's something that nobody would ever dare to ask 2 days after a certain game's release. The question is about that game, but nobody gives a fuck about that game. Nobody cares about that game. Nobody in this world. But that's the first question. It's gotta be the first question, right? Have I played Yakuza Infinite Wealth? No, I haven't. I haven't heard anything about Dragon Quest 12. I think we will hear something today. No, I think eventually we'll hear something. We will hear something. We will hear something. The song skipped for no reason. It's kind of glitchy everything today. I can't remove Kenny from there. I guess he's gonna have to stay there. What JRPG will Kenny play? A JRPG where he can't die. Have you heard about Fire Emblem Maiden of Darkness? No, is that one of the many fan-made hacks? It probably is, and I haven't played it. Finished Tales of Legendia yesterday, and please tell me this is the last Tales series with random encounters. Yeah, because after Legendia it was Tales of the Abyss, no random encounters in there. You can see the monsters roaming around, and then there's what came afterwards, Tales of Vesperia, Graces. Well, we got the Nintendo DS titles. I don't remember, you're probably not gonna play those because they're only in Japan, exclusive to the Nintendo DS, fan translated. Well, Innocence is on the Vita. Haven't played that version. I think it's also fully fan translated. Yeah. I don't remember if those have any random encounters. The Vita version doesn't. Tales of Hearts, no random encounters. No. Yeah, I think Legendia is the last Tales game with random encounters. In any other Tales game, you can see the enemies roaming around, so I think you'll be fine. And you want to play Tales of the World, Radiant Mythology. Pretty sure you can see the monsters in there. That's on the PSP. Hope you enjoy the game. I think it's good. It's not an incredible game. Legendia is far superior, obviously, but Tales of the World is a good game. I hope we can get one of these days a brand new crossover of the series, kind of like Radiant Mythology, or a full remake of that game. but with modern graphics, like with Tales of Arise graphics, or at least Tales of Berseria level of graphics. Imagine a crossover, the Tales series, like in Radiant Mythology, because that game didn't age very well. Its sprites are kind of small. Well, they aren't even sprites, they're 3D models, and it's on the PSP, and the controls, they don't feel great. I don't know, you play Radiant Mythology and then you jump to Arise or Berseria and it's a world of a difference. So I'd love to get a crossover, a Tales crossover, a brand new one with modern graphics, and I don't know, that's my fanboy dream. I'm the crossover guy. I want every single crossover imaginable. No, that's not true. I want every crossover that's good and decent and not political, and much less with idle crap. Have you played the South Park RPG? I did I think it's called The Stick of Truth. I don't know, man. I never thought South Park would be a good idea as a role-playing game. So I know the game's got good reviews and people like it, but I didn't. I thought it was pretty tedious. The tutorial killed me. I was like, man, just let me fucking play the game and that's it. I'll figure it out myself. I don't know, probably wasn't in the mood to play an RPG based on South Park. Maybe I'll go back to it one day and give it a second chance, but first impressions weren't exactly positive. They weren't negative, they were just like, it's not for me. Yeah, and I think a second game was released, right? If I'm not mistaken. Is it better to play Grandia on PS5 or the HD collection on Switch? I didn't know Grandia was on PS5. The HD collection on Switch looks pretty good. Barely any bugs, barely any technical issues, so it's a great version of it to play. If you could have a JRPG series crossover, which two series would you pick and why? Speaking about crossovers, okay, I think I answered this question before. My pick was Shin Megami Tensei and what was the other one? Death End Request. Or I think my dream crossover is Fire Emblem and Suikoden. Definitely. Maiden of Darkness is a Fire Emblem game planned to be released on the Nintendo 64, but since the Nintendo 64 DD failed, the game got cancelled too, so we can only guess how it could be. Well, I'm not a fan of no offense to anybody, but I'm not really a fan of the Nintendo 64. I don't like its graphics, I never did. And I think most of the games aged poorly. And even back then, like 20 years ago, it still looked kind of ugly to me. That's me personally, I know people love it. But I just didn't. And I don't know how a Fire Emblem game would have looked on a Nintendo 64. I'm not saying I'm glad it was cancelled. No, it would have been fun to have one more goddamn RPG on the Nintendo 64. But all I'm saying is that I don't miss it. Like, I don't really care that it was cancelled. What's your favorite Atelier game? That will be Atelier Iris 2, the Azoth of Destiny on the PlayStation 2. Let's hope those games get remastered one day. You guys need to play those. You guys need to play the only Atelier games in the series that are like traditional styled RPGs. They aren't like the others. They aren't like Rorona, Ryza, Sophie, Shally. No, they're different. They're like, I don't know, like Arton Helico, I guess. Same developers. They're like Chrono Trigger. They're like, I don't know, Dragon Quest, Lunar, traditional style. You guys need to play those. Well, only the first two, though. The third one kind of tried to go back to the original formula a bit. But it was also more adventure-driven than quest-driven or alchemy and synthesis and gathering stuff and all that jazz. I mean, there's gathering and synthesis in every Atelier game, but that wasn't the focus in the Iris trilogy, or should I say duology. Shining Force Remake is my dream. Well, imagine how would a Shining Force full remake with 3D modern graphics would look like. Wow. Sega will probably turn into an action RPG. Xenosaga cross Star Ocean crossover. Wouldn't be a bad idea, you know? Imagine Cosmos and Shion crash landing into an underdeveloped planet and meeting some medieval characters and races and whatnot, and fighting the Gnosis invading that particular planet, the aliens and shit, and teaming up with some of the Star Ocean characters. Haha, sounds like a great idea, right? Kenny, go away! Why can't you just go away? Die! It's time for you to die, Kenny. Do you want Kenny to stay? That's gonna be the best poll ever. Do you want Kenny to stay? Yes, no. You decide. Isn't that the best poll ever? That is the most overly creative post ever. No. Oh, somebody voted no. Oh my god, it's pretty divided. Half the people want him to go away. Don't be too harsh on Kenny, man. Shadow Hearts cross Shin Megami Tensei. Could work. Shin Megami Tensei turn-based. Press turn system with the Judgment Ring. If you click on the right spot on the Judgment Ring, I mean, you get an extra turn, right? You don't have to exploit an enemy's weakness. You just gotta click there. And then there you have it. That's the perfect combination battle-wise of SMT with Shadow Hearts. Yeah, right? I mean, it could work. With different endings. The Chaos ending, the Law, and the neutral endings. Yuri and company come back and recruit demons. Instead of Yuri transforming into demons, they recruit demons. He can recruit his own demons. Alright. Oh man, I'm currently rewatching every season of South Park because the entire series is on this streaming service that comes with my internet service. And I'm on season 4, and I don't remember a lot of the episodes, man. I've watched a few that are like, oh my, I remember this, right? But it's always fun to rewatch them. They're so rewatchable. God damn it, South Park. And I don't think they're voting because they insulted woke or something. I don't think so. I don't really have a woke audience here. Haven't I driven them away since like 2021? Like, I don't want you guys here. Don't watch my videos. Ooh. Tonight I'm gonna see that my subscription rate decreased by 20. No, I don't think so. Fuck woke. This is the anti-woke channel. Well, it's the anti-left, but also the anti-right channel. In conclusion, it's the anti-politics channel. Did you ever play Ragnarok Online? Woo! That was back in the day, man. That was back in the day, man. That was back in my old days. When I was a little kid. Well, actually, no, I was a young adult. I was the first MMORPG I ever played. I have some good memories. And people weren't political like they are today. In that game, everybody was friendly. We were killing monsters and having a great time. Those were the days. 3 what? Politics always ruin everything, man. Whether it's the left or the right, conservatives, liberals, woke or not, they're always ruining everything, every piece of entertainment. Everything. But yeah, nowadays, we can all agree the woke stuff is destroying everything. But then the woke stuff is gonna die again, and then the right wing is gonna govern again, and it's gonna ruin everything again. It never ends, man. Why do you want Kenny to go away? Answer. There's a lot of people here saying that you're voting against Kenny because you're woke. Why do you explain your fucking reasons right now in the chat? Don't be afraid. No one's gonna judge you or attack you. I promise. I won't. Oh man, is Nintendo Switch the best JRPG machine? No, I think a lot of people seem to think it is because of the incredible amount of RPGs released on it, but not really. I think the PlayStation 4 is the best JRPG machine ever created in the history of gaming. Well, one could argue it's a regular computer, right? As long as it can run Steam, I guess you can emulate whatever you want. So that's the best out there, but that's just dumb. That's a dumb answer. So let's just agree the PS4 is the best JRPG console ever, right? No, not the PS4, which is my favorite. PS4, baby. Would you recommend the whole Iris trilogy or just the first two? I recommend the first two. The third one, you be the judge. I don't think it's a great game, nor do I think it's a bad game. I think it's okay. It's just hard to get into because it's very quest-driven. There's only one big town, and it's extremely repetitive, man. And you only get 2 party members. Eventually, you'll get your third party member, but it's very slow, kind of boring, and like I said, hard to get into. But it's not convoluted or anything. It's just regular turn-based combat and exploration. And there's barely any real exploration, like 3D overworld isometric exploration. The first 2 games have. It's gone. So I do recommend a lot the first 2 games. 3, sure, why not? As long as you can get it for a decent price, or you can just emulate it and find out how it is. You can just start with it too, the games are connected only because of the character Iris, but pretty much stand alone, each and every single one of them. It's not like you need to play the first one. You don't need to play the Atelier Iris trilogy in order, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I already answered your question, smart gamer, pay attention. Kenny's just pissing me off. Oh, man. Well, 42% people want him to go away. 57% people want him to stay. So he'll stay for a while. He'll stay. Let's make him smaller. Just for the sake of those people. He's just gonna stay there. For a while. Will you play Plants vs. Zombies 3? I don't think that exists yet, but if it ever comes into existence, into this plane of existence, I probably will. Damn, this music, man. Wow, I mean, you can say whatever you want about Star Ocean 5. Sure, it's the black sheep in the family. It's not a great game either. Atelier Iris 3 is a better game. Well, the fan service is really great in this game. But the music... Holy shit, right? Music is an entirely different topic when it comes to JRPGs and video games. Persona? Well... thank you, Hooflong. Thanks a bunch, man. I don't know anything about Persona 3. Reload, I haven't played it. I know it's coming out next week. I know Grand Blue Fantasy is coming out next week. And Grand Blue, I'll probably end up playing it, but it's not being sold in Mexico. I don't know why. Can you believe that? Grand Blue Fantasy Relink is not being sold in Mexico. So I'm gonna have to wait until its release date to see if it comes out or not. And if it does, I hope it's for a decent price, else I'm not gonna get it. Well, I will actually, but at some point. And Persona 3 Reload can kiss my fucking ass, man. I'm not paying $80 fucking for it. I'm not supporting that. That's an insult, man. That's an insult to gamers. How can you sell a regular standard version of a remake for $80? No, it's not even $80. Wait, it's a little bit more than that. It's like $90 here in Mexico. That's horseshit, man. It's a standard, regular fucking version, and let's change the subject. I've bitched about this before. Oh yeah, Grand Blue, everything can be bought digital in Mexico, don't worry. But I'm not gonna pay $60 for a digital game, right? If I'm gonna pay $60, I wanna fucking own the game. I wanna touch it. And caress it. Like salad fingers. The new Like a Dragon game received great reviews. Of course it have. Of course it did. I haven't played it. But we're still talking about the new game plus bullshit, right? Did it go away? Did that change after it was released? Did Sega come to their senses and realize how much of cheap bastards they were? Hopefully they did, but I'm guessing they didn't. They're still selling the new game plus for $15. That's cheap as hell. What do you do after seeing Renee indoor? Either Renee Door in Trails in the Sky the Third. Why, you've never seen a movie with characters like that, or read a book, or watched a show like that? I think the Ren Door in Trails in the Sky the Third is overrated nowadays. It's like people try to make it as shocking as if it was the first time they're seeing something like that. Sure, it might be the first time seeing something like that in a JRPG, but it's not a new thing for video games in general, or movies, or the entertainment business. I mean, it's just something horrible and that's it. Don't try to make a big deal out of it. Well said, man. But don't lump me in. Don't lump me in. Says market is crazy, but the fault lies within us consumers. We accept almost all bullshit from big enterprises. Now, yeah, you do, I don't. Were you really gonna pay $15 for the new game plus? That's just ridiculous, fucking Sega. Thanks a bunch, Mark. Which Disgaea do you recommend on PS3, PS4, 5, and Vita? Oh wow, that's pretty much all of them, right? Except the second game. The second game is my favorite, probably up there with 4. But the second game is only on PS2 and PSP. Never got remastered for some reason. Maybe it isn't as popular as the others. I don't understand why NIS America refuses to remaster that game. I understand they don't want to remaster Disgaea 3, because it's apparently the black sheep in the family, the one that got mixed reviews, and a lot of people didn't like this and that. I don't know, man. I never finished it. I only played it for like 3 hours. But Disgaea 2 is the only Disgaea game I've ever finished in my life, and I don't understand why NIS America, or Nippon Ichi Software skipped it. They remastered the first one and then jumped straight to 4, and all the attention is all on all the others except 2. Like, what's wrong with 2? Well, maybe the protagonist is kind of annoying and he's a human. Maybe that's got to do something with it. Okay, I'll give you that, but it's still a great game. I don't think it got mixed reviews or anything, it got generally favorable reviews, I think. So, hopefully we'll see that game one day up there with the rest of the family. But to answer your question, I guess I'm gonna have to recommend Disgaea 4, because it's my favorite. Because I love the humor and I love the characters. They slowly grow on you. And it's a great game, but it's also like extremely hard, extremely grindy. And the final boss is ridiculous, straight up ridiculous. Okay? But that's the one that I recommend above all the others. That's my favorite. Disgaea 4, A Promise Unforgotten. Is that Kenny from South Park? Yes, he is. the gaming companies want to move to digital only, but what to change the same price or more, even though they save on shipping, production costs, and or outsourcing. Okay, what physical game you plan to get for your collection? Oh, what do you mean? Like right now, I think I want like 50 games. I'm still looking for the usual suspects that never go down in price. You know, Death End Request 2, Redemption Reapers. I know it's limited run games, but fuck those guys. There's a lot of games that I want. Trinity Trigger, you know, but I'm waiting for the price to drop to be acceptable. Or I'm waiting for some kind of miracle. I Death End Request 2, for example. I don't think that game's ever going to go down in price, but maybe one day. Maybe one day. 4 more minutes and Kenny goes away. Do you plan to play Undertale sometime? It doesn't appeal to me for some reason. It just got too popular, up to the point where I feel like I'm gonna get disappointed. It's one of those games, right? Everybody and their mom has been telling you for many, many years how successful it was, how popular it is, and how good it is. And for some reason, that kind of ruins the excitement. I see the game and I'm like, oh man, you guys are gonna be fucking. You're gonna fall out of your chairs when I tell you what game I've been playing all week, including today, this morning. Exactly 1 hour ago, I was still playing the game. I went back to a certain extremely popular Western RPG that I haven't touched in almost 5 years. That I streamed almost 5 years ago. And that a lot of people were there. And I only streamed the game for like an hour and 15 minutes, I believe. And I didn't like it. And I was like, man, I'm just not in the mood for a game like this. Fuck this, I'm shelving this. And it remained shelved until last week. I finally went back to this game. Can you guess what game I'm talking about? It's a very popular Western RPG. What's the first Western RPG that comes to mind when you think of Western RPGs? It's gotta be that. No, it's not Mass Effect. It's not Mass Effect. Skyrim? Nope. Almost? Nope. Fallout? Nope. The Witcher 3. That's right, Yum Yum. I went back to it. And I'm like 12 hours in. And I'm loving it. And that's all I'm gonna say. I don't know if I'm going to review it. I gotta talk about it at some point. I know it's a game that everybody and their mom have talked about. And I know most of you won't give a rat's ass about that video. But I gotta talk about it somehow. I don't know in what video I'll include it, but I'm gonna have to write something about it. Okay? The Witcher 3. I've been playing The Witcher 3 all week, man. I'm 12, 13 hours into it, and holy shit, you know. I do have some really bad things to say about it, but also some really good things to say about it. That's always, as with every single video game in existence, every single RPG that I review. Well, some RPGs, there's barely anything bad to talk about. But in The Witcher 3, there's several bad, like really bad things to say, but also really, really, really good things. The one thing that I want to say right now is that it pisses me off that it's the third game in the universe, right? I mean, the more you play, the more you want to play the first games, or read the books at least. Because if you go and watch the Netflix show, it doesn't help much. I watched 2.5 seasons. Well, actually, I only watched the first 2 seasons complete on Netflix. And then the third season kind of ruined it for me. And that's when I realized it was getting... well, the show was woke to start with. And then the third was kind of like, I don't know, man, it went full woke. And not only that, I found out that Henry Cavill, the guy playing the Geralt, he quit the show because they were disrespectful to the books. I mean, they wanted to change everything. And yeah, it shows. And he's a massive fan of the series and of the books and the games. And when he realized they were changing everything for the bad, and it was just getting worse. He left. Thank you, Henry Cavill, for leaving that piece of shit of a show. And yeah, it's garbage. Those first 3-4 episodes of the third season were kind of like, holy fuck, this is bad. This is fucking bad. Okay, the first 2 seasons were like, okay, they're good. This guy Henry Cavill is nailing it as The Witcher, but everything else just doesn't match. The actress playing Yennefer, I mean, wow, what a miscast. She's a great actress though. She's very talented, but that's a miscast. Ciri, well, Ciri, she's supposed to be like this, in the first books and games, she's supposed to be like 14, 15 years old, so the actress kind of fits the role. But I don't know how an actress like that can grow to look like Ciri. I'm guessing when they start telling the adult, or when they start telling the book 3 or the Witcher 3, which is Wild Hunt, I mean, Ciri's pretty much in her, like mid-20s at least. So this actress playing Ciri in the Netflix show doesn't look like her at all. They're going to have to hire a new actress. I don't know what they're going to do. But anyway, yeah, everything else, I mean, they changing a lot of actors and characters just for the sake of inclusion. And it's like, you can tell, it's not like that in the games and it's not like that in the books. So, I don't know. It's not only that, the storytelling, and they changed everything. They altered everything for the sake of whatever. I don't know why. And it's bad. So what I was trying to say is that the one thing that pisses me off about The Witcher 3 is that I'm obviously playing a sequel to something that I haven't played. Like, I watched the first 2 seasons and it's helping me understand a bit more of the lore and the background and the past of the game that I'm currently playing. But at the same time, I'm still confused as fuck, and I can tell that you need to play the first 2 games at least, or read the books to understand everything. Because there's a lot of characters and a lot of conversations and a lot of flashbacks and a lot of things about Geralt that you're like, what the fuck? It feels like I missed a whole universe, a whole story here. So, yeah, I wish it could have been a standalone title. The first 2 games also treat you like you already know who everyone is. So the best thing to do is like read the books. The Witcher games will come after the books. Yeah. So yeah, I guessed it right. Pretty much, right? The best thing to do is read the books. So I'll read the books. It feels like it's the easiest thing to do, and it's the best way to do, because getting the games, I think they are exclusive on the 360 and on PC. And I'm just not going to play them. What do you think was the golden era of JRPGs? I already answered that question multiple times. Everybody knows it was the 90s. But I feel like we entered a second golden age a few years ago. It's dead nowadays because of the politicization of things. Well, motherfucking companies like Sega selling you a new game plus for $15. I mean, it's over, man. This second golden age has been ruined. So, yeah. But if I had to decide, like, what is the true golden age of JRPGs, it was the previous one. Honestly, I mean, JRPGs were never as popular in the 90s as they are today, right? That's my one and only argument. And there's a shit ton of great JRPGs. No one's gonna argue that. Like, oh my god, Chrono Trigger, Phantasy Star 4, Final Fantasy 7, Xenogears. Yeah, fantastic games, but, Persona 5, Nier Automata, the original Nier, the Devil Survivor games. Come on, there's a shit ton of fantastic JRPGs that came between 2010 and 2020. So that decade to me was a little bit like a second golden age. The second coming of RPG Jesus. Will you still buy games if they were all digital only? Sure, I own a lot of digital games in my digital collection, but most of them are games that I paid $5, $6, $8 for. So as long as they're dirt cheap, yeah. In fact, I'm already doing that. It's not like, will you still buy games? I'm already doing that. I still buy physical games, and I'm never gonna quit unless every single physical game in existence goes out of its mind and starts costing over $100 each. Even the cheapest ones. even the Halo games on the original Xbox and 360. Yeah, so I'm always gonna be buying both. But if a digital era were to take over, which is bound to take over in a few years, probably 5 or 10 years, yeah, I'm still gonna buy games, but I'm not gonna pay full price for any of them, or like $30-$40 for each. No fucking way. How do you feel about Nier Replicant's combat compared to other games like Ys, Star Ocean? Interesting question, huh? I've always wanted to answer a question like that, like Nier, like the Nier games versus Ys or Star Ocean. Well, or Tales, for example. I think each franchise characterizes itself by having a couple of features that are, I don't want to say exclusive to them, but like pretty unique. I mean, when you play an Ys game, you know you're playing an Ys game. Same with Tales, same with Star Ocean. But then you play something like the Nier games, which is kind of like taking elements from all of these games, when in reality it's taking elements from the Drakengard series. Okay, well, you have to know that Nier came from Drakengard. It was supposed to be a spin-off. It was unsuccessful when it came out. So Square Enix was like, fuck it, I'm not gonna... It was just one spin-off. We released it, and that's it. But for some reason, it became a cult classic, and people started asking for more, a new game or a remaster, and eventually a new game happened, and eventually a remaster happened. Okay, we all know that history. But what we need to understand is that the Nier games came from the Drakengard series, and they were mostly hack and slash games, kind of like in the Musou style of things, like the Dynasty Warriors series. And they were different. Each entry got better or worse. Up to you if they got better or worse. I think in terms of controls and combat, the second game in the series was the best. 3 was too chaotic and hard to control. But in Nier, they kind of like learned what they needed to learn from the trilogy and probably did it better. And it was kind of like a little bit more successful in terms of controls. But it bothered a lot of people, right? But what I'm trying to say is how does it compare to these other series? It feels to me like it takes elements from those other series, but tries to be its own thing. It's like a game that back then was trying to find its own identity. However, several years later, we got Nier Automata, and then the remaster of Nier Replicant, and they do feel a little bit more fast-paced than, let's say, the Drakengard trilogy, for example, or the original Nier. And that's when it started to become more like... I think a lot of people compare a lot of action RPGs to those games nowadays, me included. But I'd rather make comparisons to the E series or the Tales series, because I think the Nier games... Maybe the developers didn't play any of those games, Ys, Tales, Star Ocean, whatever. But it just feels like it's... In terms of action, it's not really a game that has like an original identity. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, remember what I was saying earlier? You play an Ys game and it feels like one. You already know it's one. It's got all the characteristics of one. Same with the Tales games. Star Ocean, same. Well, Star Ocean is kind of like trying to be different with each entry. But still, there's... You know what you're playing. And in Nier, it's like you don't know what you're playing. And since there's only been like 2 games so far, I'm not counting that mobile game that came out. Yeah, you have nothing to compare them to except those other successful series. But it's fast-paced, I'm not trying to be negative here. I love the Nier series, I'm a big fan. The controls are fantastic. Platinum Games always know what they're doing, and I'm a big fan. And when it comes to storytelling, how do they compare? Well, in my opinion, they're superior. The story, the world building isn't as huge as it is in Tales or Star Ocean, considering all the Star Ocean games are part of the same universe. It isn't as expansive as that, but their lore is still interesting in the Nier games. But the best thing about the Nier games, how the storytelling is just dark, edgy, dramatic, more emotional, more mature, more, I don't want to say realistic, but, psychological, philosophical. And I'm into that shit, because it feels more... I'm 38 years old, right? I'm not a 16-year-old kid. So the stories written in the Ys games or the Star Ocean series, they may be great, they're fantastic too, but they just don't compare, in my opinion, to the ones in the Nier. So when it comes to storytelling, I think the Nier games are just king. And yeah, well, I went too far with that comparison. Good question, man. But I like them. I really like them. That's another great comparison in Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. When I played the demo, it was like, man, I was trying to compare it. It wasn't exactly the East games. It felt more like the Tails games. Like the combat, controlling some of the characters felt like I was playing more of a Tails game than an East game. Because the East games, doesn't matter who you control, they're always fast-paced, there's a lot of adrenaline in there, like chaotic chaos in there, right? And when it comes to Tales games, they're a little bit more technical, not as technical as the Star Ocean games, but technical nonetheless. And I feel like Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, the controls reminded me more of the Tales games, like you're saying, Tales of Arise. It's a little bit more than that, although Tales of Arise it's a pretty challenging game. It tried to be more technical than it needed to be, my opinion only. But yeah, I feel like Grand Blue Fantasy Relink resembles more a Tales game, or even the Nier games. They're closer to that in my opinion. I really like the combat in Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink equals Phantasy Star Online plus Is 8. Yeah, I kind of disagree with that. Phantasy Star Online, unless you're talking about the second game that I didn't play, the original Phantasy Star Online is severely outdated, fucking awful controls, man. Keep in mind I played the Dreamcast and the GameCube version, the GameCube version of the original Phantasy Star Online. It was just holy shit, man. When I first played those games, I was like, okay, I'm playing them like 7 years after they were released, but I was like, what do people see in these games, man? They're just, the controls are, the hack tetralogy is like far superior in terms of controls and combat. That's just my opinion, though. I didn't play the games when they came out. Maybe had I played Phantasy Star Online when it came out back in 1998, I probably would have appreciated them more. But I got in late and they did not age well. The first iterations of Phantasy Star Online. What are your thoughts on Legend of Dragoon? Yeah, great game. I definitely agree. It deserves a remake, sequel, remaster, or something. At the very least, Sony upscaled its graphics and put it digital on the PlayStation 4 and 5, which is something, right? I mean, nobody was expecting Sony to do that. For years, we begged them to do something with that game. They finally did. They did the very least they could do, but it's something. That over nothing? You're gonna play like a Dragon Infinite Wealth? Sure, at some point, but not in the foreseeable future. Were the controls snappy? I love that in Arise, but the lack of that drove me insane in Berseria. I'm the other way around. I love the combat in Berseria far more than in Arise. And I don't know what you meant. What you mean by snappy? Like snappy? What do you mean by that? What JRPG are excited the most in 2024? Eiyuden Chronicle. Have you ever played Under Night in Bird, the fighting games? Yes, I have. I have the original PS3 version. I almost got a special edition on the PS4, which was like $30. And I didn't get it because I'm saving money for other games. And it's a fantastic game, man. The PS3 version, I played the PS4 version too, actually. It's one of the best fighting games I've ever played in my life. It's really freaking good. I love it. And I really like how it tries to be a little bit gothic. I don't think I've said this before. I don't think Japan understands the gothic culture very well, but at least they try, right? They have their own meaning of the word, which is twisted in my opinion. But I like that about Under Night in Birth, and the controls are better, are fantastic. The action is solid, fast paced. It's combo based. It's not technical. It's just you can go full nuts and still win. But mash your controller and win, or plan a little bit. You can go both ways. Methodical or chaotic, and you still have a chance. I mean, I really like that game, man. One of my favorite fighting games ever. Did you play Master Detective Archives Raincode? No, I've heard some things about it, that it's kind of like a mix of genres, right? You'd say it's an adventure detective game like the Ace Attorney series? Creative problem-solving gameplay. Yeah, haven't played it. I've seen it, but I haven't played it. Isn't that the game developed by Spike Chunsoft? right? Is that the game? Was that developed by the Danganronpa team? I think it is, right? I haven't played it yet. Did you see that many Megami Tensei games were reviewed, bombed on Metacritic? Ha, really? A lot of people did that? No, I didn't know that. Why? Why would somebody do that? There's a new version that came out last week. Oh yeah, I heard something about that, but Under Night in Birth got a new version. Didn't care much about it though. That's what Street Fighter does. Or Mortal Kombat, you know. It's just the same game with new things over and over and over and over again. If Under Night in Birth is starting to head into that direction, man. Or is it a second game? Have you seen Under Night 2? Is it like a second game in the series? Or is it like a Super Street Fighter version Turbo? Same developer of Danganronpa. I knew it. Raincoat, huh? Yeah, I knew I was right. So, is this new Under Night in Birth? Is it like a brand new game? Like a sequel? Or is it like the same fucking game updated? I don't know much about the new Atelier game. Some people refer to it as a mainline game, but I don't think it is. Hopefully it isn't. Story-wise, a new story of Under Night. Just the story. Well, if it's a new story, it's pretty much a new game. It's a new story, right? Even if it's got the same characters, it's a new story. So that to me sounds like a new game. Did you play Street Fighter JRPG for mobile phones? No, I don't play games on on phones. What is your stance on reusing assets in sequels? A lot of people hate it in Star Ocean 5, but I've been playing Growlancer 6 recently, and that also reuses assets from Heritage of War. You gotta understand that Heritage of Growlancer 6, what was the subtitle? A Precarious World, is a direct sequel to Heritage of War. So it's like comparing Tales of Symphonia 2 with 1. Of course, it's gonna reuse several assets because it's a direct sequel, and I think developers want you to feel like you're playing a direct continuation of the same game, like a follow-up, right? So what I don't like is when they reuse assets for a brand new game, like you mentioned Star Ocean 5. Okay, I don't think that's the best example in my opinion, because if you play Star Ocean 5 and then 4, they feel very different. I do see what kind of assets they were reused, but not really. I mean, Star Ocean 5 feels like a different game. In fact, I think that's one of the reasons why it failed miserably, because not because it reused assets, but because it tried to be very different from the rest of the games. And but yeah, I mean, for example, the Suikoden games. The Suikoden, you play Suikoden 1 and then you play Suikoden 2, and they barely reused most of the assets, which I liked. And then 3 came about and it was different. 4 was different. 5 was different. I like that. But when it comes to direct sequels like Heritage of War and Precarious World, I just think it makes sense to reuse several assets. Or like Ys 8 and 9, for example. 9 used the same graphic engine, the exact same graphic engine. The colors were now different. I mean, in my opinion, that was a bad thing to do. They should have used a new graphic engine, or they shouldn't have reused several assets found in Lacrimosa of Dana, for example. Yeah, but then again, you know, I don't think it's a big deal to me. Did you see Sega admitting and excusing Japanese games being changed in the West to fit global standards? Oh, well, I don't know about that, but I mean, Sega Atlus went woke like 6-7 years ago, man. The Pokemon Company got pissed off because of Pal World being inspired by Pokemon and being successful. They are going to investigate if there are copyright infringements. Okay, I wish them good luck. I don't give a shit. Rebuilding everything from scratch is more costly and time consuming, so reusing assets is good for both devs and players. The Yakuza series does this ever since 2005, and nobody complained. Well, I guess it depends on what kind of assets. Of course, I agree with that statement. We're redoing everything from scratch. It's pretty much doing a remake, right? It's like rebuilding the whole thing, and you use the same assets and the same graphic engine for one game, and then you have to forget about that and fuck all of that and do something completely different. Use a completely different graphic engine. Yeah, it costs a lot of money. I understand why companies reuse certain assets or graphical shenanigans, stuff like that. So yeah, I guess it depends on the game. It depends on the series. There's a console called the Polymega. Oh wow, I didn't know about its existence, man. Is it easy to emulate games if you don't have any ideas about it? I don't. First and foremost, Kenny needs to go away. So, damn, man, I don't understand your question. What do you mean? Is it easy to emulate games if you don't have any ideas about it? What you're trying to ask is it easy to emulate games if you don't know shit about emulation, if you have no idea how it works? Well, some emulators make it very easy for you, especially the really retro ones. If you go right now and download any Super Nintendo emulator, all you gotta do is download the ROM, and then open it in the emulator. Every emulator has a menu that says Open ROMs. Just click there, and you select the ROM, and that's it. But yeah, you gotta understand the basics. I guess if you have no idea about it, just follow a tutorial online to see how it's done, because it's not difficult to understand. But yeah, you gotta first download the emulator, install it, and then download your first game, and it's probably gonna be compressed in a RAR file or a zip file, and you gotta uncompress it. And yeah, I guess you're right, it can be a little bit tricky to understand emulation, but the basics are pretty easy, and I don't think you're gonna have trouble. Just follow any tutorial online how to emulate video games, or I will advise you to how to emulate specific emulator. Like if you try out the Game Boy Advance emulator, follow a tutorial on how to use that emulator and how to play games on that emulator and where to download them and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just I've been using emulation for the past 20 years, so I've gotten used to it. But yeah, thinking back, the first times were kind of hard and difficult, so yeah. Yeah, I should go back to Treasure of the Root Dress. One of these days I'll go back to it. I don't give a lot of priority to fan-translated games nowadays because I feel like a lot of my viewers don't give a fuck about them, unfortunately. And coverage of those games, most people just don't care, which makes them not exactly a priority to review. But so every once in a while I try to make like a space in between, and maybe I can talk about the game in a video or two. I remember talking about Treasure of the Root Dress in a video called 10 More JRPGs That Aged Really Well, which was very successful. For a channel like mine, I think it got like 150,000 views or 40 something thousand. Yeah, that was like, wow, that blew me away, man. So I can always find a way to talk about these fan-translated JRPGs, even if people skip that segment, some people appreciate it. So yeah, but I don't focus a lot of my gaming time to fan-translated RPGs anymore because of that, because I don't feel like there's a big audience in my channel for those types of games. But yeah, Treasure of the Root Dress is a game that I love to go back to one day. I love to play all of those fan-translated games. Tales of Destiny, Girl Lancer 6, Fate Extra 2. You want to emulate PS2 games on the Steam Deck? For example, I have no idea how it's done. I don't even have a Steam Deck. I can't even emulate PS2 games on my computer. Can't make it work. So yeah. Just follow tutorials online, man. It was thanks to many tutorials online and YouTube that I hacked my PS Vita, that I started downloading things for my 3DS, that I made some emulators work. Haven't finished it, man. That's why I said that I want to go back to it. Yeah, that's what I've been doing for the past 3-4 years, Terry. That's exactly what I'm saying. You know, I always gotta find a way to like squeeze some of those obscure JRPGs or some of those games in those videos. Sometimes it hurts the videos, you know, but there's really no way to tell. Several factors are involved in a video failing in terms of views, but yeah, that's what I've been doing for the past for my entire YouTube career, actually, ever since the slideshow videos from 2014. We rewatch those videos, and you're gonna see a lot of obscure games squeezed in between the popular games, the mainstream ones. That's what I do. It's the best thing to do. I don't know what Sweet Baby is, and you don't need a company or give you don't need to give a name or to put a name to a company to do stuff like that. You know, a lot of companies are doing that, not just Sweet Baby Incorporated. I don't know who the fuck those are, but I don't really give a shit. Wokies everywhere nowadays, so. Is YouTube and writing books what you do for a living? Yep, that's what I do. It's basically what I do. You have another career to go along with those income streams? Nope, just those. That's what I do for a living, man. I also have a podcast on patreon.com. I don't know if that counts as a source of income. It does to me, but it's deeply connected to my YouTube and writing career, so I don't consider that as a separate career. Do you think the Megami Tensei should receive more praise and popularity? I answered this question before. If it did, it will go completely woke. I mean, SMT5, for example, left a lot to talk about, like it raised a lot of concerns, didn't it? Especially the English dub was kind of like, oh, okay. Yeah, please click the like button, guys. Do I like the Catherine games, as in plural? Games? I didn't know there was a new one. As far as I'm concerned, there's only one Catherine game on PS3, PS4, and Switch. And Windows. But it's the same game, right? Is there a new Catherine game out there? Anyway, I try to like them. I guess I like the political incorrectness of the games and the fan service and whatnot, but not my type of puzzle game. It was just kind of frustrating and confusing, and you always have some time limit to complete everything, and if you take too long, like you get a game over. So what I'm trying to say is that puzzle games with a timer, not really a big fan. I mean, there's some of them out there, but you get a timer in like 1 or 2 areas or 1 or 2 segments, and I like that. But the entire mission, it's just very stressful, you know. When it comes to puzzle games, I want to sit down and relax and think it through without having the pressure of a time limit. And that's what killed Catherine for me. What country are you located in? Mexico. What are your thoughts on YouTube Shorts, Erick? Have you experienced any success with them, or do you think they aren't good for the channel? I haven't tried a single short. I haven't done a single short ever. I don't really care for them. I'm not against them. It's just something that I don't care for and I don't want to do. Do you like cats? Yeah, but I can't have cats because I'm allergic to them, unfortunately. When I asked about if you play the new Yakuza game, you said, how can I dare to ask that? And you said no one cares about it. How come? Ugh, you can't detect sarcasm? I was being sarcastic, man. Are you new to this channel? You probably are, because most people here are used to my sarcasm already. Yeah, you're probably new, man. It was sarcasm. Did you stop your streams on Twitch? I decided to take a break. I said this in a previous Q&A, you probably missed it, but I decided to take a break to kind of like stream only once a week, because January is a really bad month for revenue. There's no point in overworking yourself or doing a lot of work or using some of your best video ideas. You know, it's a bad month. So since I very rarely take vacations, I decided to take it easy on video making and only on streams. I mean, we are at the end of January, by the way. I mean, it's pretty much January 28th. So it's gonna be back to normal next week, probably. So I didn't stop my streams. I just, considerably reduced my consistency and my participation in them. I'll be back. In fact, I'll probably be back. I'll probably be back today or tomorrow. Probably. Stay tuned on Twitch. Link to my Twitch channel in the description. Is Landon your actual surname? No, it's a pen name. Erick Landon is a pen name. Wow, I haven't told that story in a while. Well, when I was 15 years old, I had a band. And we all wanted to move to the USA or to Canada. And for some strange reason, we felt like we needed English names, right? And the guys picked their names, and I picked mine, and mine was Jimmy, James. But I was like, no, I don't really feel like a James. It's weird. I was 15 years old. What do you expect? So eventually, I changed my name to Erick, and I was like, Erick, but Erick what? And why Erick? Erick because I was a big fan of the movie The Crow. So I decided to go with Erick, and then Landon, I just pulled that out of my ass. I was like, I was thinking of a last name or a surname, and I was like, Landon? Erick Landon? Sounds kind of catchy, so let's go with that. And it just stuck. And I decided to go with that name for my books and for my YouTube channel, and here I am. End of story. Have you played the Robotics Nodes from game from PS4? No, never heard of it. What's your favorite Vanillaware game by any chance? Odin Sphere is probably my favorite by far. Odin Sphere is one of my, not only my favorite Vanillaware, it's one of my favorite JRPGs of all time. Yeah, I can tell you're also new, Ilias. Start streaming on YouTube. Oh my god, you're so new to this channel. Welcome, man. I hate streaming on YouTube, man. It's horrible. The pay is horrendous. The revenue is horrendous. Unless the streams gets tens of thousands of views, you barely get any money. Or unless you get donations, you barely get any money. It's just a waste of time streaming on YouTube, in my opinion. It's much better to stream on Twitch and to re-upload that stream on YouTube. You get more money that way. Why, YouTube? Why can't you make more fucking sense? Why is it that you don't know how to compete? Because they don't give a shit, that's why. Do you think Horizon Chase Turbo is a good choice for an easy, fast, and short gaming session before working on any activity? It is. I may not be the biggest fan of racing games, but I do recommend that game. It's one of the very few racing games that I've actually liked in my life. So yeah, definitely. It's cool, it's not stressful, it's kind of relaxing to an extent, so definitely, yeah. Did you play Signalis? Nope. I know of the game, but I didn't play it. Have you played Judgment and Lost Judgment? Yes, I have, and I've covered the games before in this channel. Big fucking fan of those games, I really enjoy them. I like the first one better than the second one, because the second one barely had any follow missions, any chase any Metal Gear missions. Let's call them Metal Gear missions. And those were my favorites on the first game. I really like those missions. But yeah, in terms of story, the rest of the gameplay, the music, fucking fantastic games, both of them, man. Hope we get a third Judgment game in the series one of these days. I really like them. I have them on the PS4, by the way. Thank you, Uncle V. Who were the influences for your band? Can you toss a couple of album recommendations? Oh, well, that band was when I was 15 years old. The guy, my friend was a guitar player, and then we got this drummer. But it didn't last long because we changed schools, went our separate ways, and I don't even know. I haven't talked to those guys in like 20 years, I think. And we never made it. We only played a few times. And I was already very highly influenced by Nine Inch Nails and Deftones. And my friend was very influenced by... The guitar player was very influenced by Tool, A Perfect Circle, Maynard James Keenan, pretty much. And the drummer was more into, like, Spanish bands, but he was also a huge fan of Deftones. So it kind of worked. We understood each other in a creative level. But the band went nowhere, you know. None of us were really that talented. And it just went nowhere. I had other bands afterwards, but none of them worked out. And, well, I made a video about my favorite band, my favorite CDs, my favorite albums of all time. And you might want to look it up. It's on my second channel. It's pretty much showcasing my favorite albums, music albums. And you get a shit ton of recommendations in there. But by knowing my favorite bands, you can already have an idea, right? Nine Inch Nails, Deftones, The Cure, Tool, Killing Joke, Gary Newman, The Smashing Pumpkins, Fear Factory, The Gathering, Dead Sea, Orgy. That's a band called Orgy, believe it or not. Osico, yeah. And yeah, sure, why not some grunge bands? Most of the stuff that I play on the guitar, even though grunge is not my favorite music genre, it's the easiest to play for me on the guitar, so I play a lot of Deftones isn't grunge, it's more like new metal, alternative metal. But I play a lot of Deftones, I play a lot of Nirvana. I'm not the biggest Nirvana fan, but their songs are easy as fuck to play, and they're cool to play, they're fun to play on the guitar. I play a lot of Silverchair, Smashing Pumpkins, L7. So yeah. Thanks for the donation, man. Do you want to make top 5 ugliest bastards in JRPGs? No. Did you ever make a list of best number 1 games of every gaming genre? No. I will never make a list like that, man. That's crazy, man. I could do that for JRPGs, maybe, you know, make a list of all the masterpieces, you know, and I think that will be a video that will be very successful. And I planned one for last year, but I decided to go for the Hidden Gems compilation video instead. So maybe I'll do the same, but for JRPGs only, not all gaming genres, man. That's crazy. What are your thoughts on 24-hour long streams? Speaking about crazy, that's even crazier. That's just fucking ridiculous, man. I have a life, unlike those people. Have you played Kororinpa Marble Maiden? No, man. What the hell is that? Star Ocean 3 Remake or Remaster? Which is more viable for Square Enix? Viable? I have no idea. I don't know their business decisions. I don't know what they think. I can have an idea on what they prefer, but not really. It's confusing because the first game in the series was remastered, but that remaster was based on a remake. And then the second game got a remaster, but also got a remake last year. So it's kind of confusing. I don't understand Square Enix, man. Whatever they decide to do, I'll take it. I think... Well, the game didn't age bad. You know, it's still fun to play. It got some upscaled graphics treatment on the PlayStation 4. You can play it on PlayStation 5 too, digital. It looks really good. Yeah, I think it's still fun to play. Hell, Star Ocean 2 was still fun to play. But, you know, random encounters, backtracking, and all of that stuff, outdated stuff went away with the remake. So that was a great idea. When it comes to Star Ocean 3, it could work with some quality of life improvements. A remaster will be fine. I don't think a remake is that necessary. You know, I would vouch for both. I don't care either way, remaster or remake. But I think a remaster will be a great idea too if it had those quality of life features like how do you call them in English? What's the term? Like you teleport in and out of town, or from one dungeon to another. You go out of towns and places and shit. Like what's the term? You know, when I forget the term, man. Has a term? Come on, guys. Well, you know what I mean, right? That you don't have to backtrack. Get rid of the backtracking. Did Star Ocean 3 have random encounters? I don't remember. I played it so long ago. Quick travel, thanks. Fast travel. That's the term, yeah. Add fast travel. And another thing that they should really work on is the puzzles. They're so fucking annoying in Star Ocean 3 that, oh my god, it just make them less cryptic. That's all I'm asking. And improve the controls in some of the puzzles, man. That the one where you ride that giant turtle thing, awful. The one with the flute, where you gotta open doors. Oh man, it's awful. Super annoying puzzle, man. 3 doesn't have a random encounter, so there you go. That's already an improvement. Get rid of the holler minigame. Yeah, I agree, man. It's fucking garbage. Or give me the option, right? Hey, do you want to play it? Do you want to skip it? I'm skipping this shit, man. Yeah, definitely. Give me the option. So yeah, Star Ocean 3, with some quality of life improvements, doesn't really need a remake, in my opinion. But a remake will be fine. Totally fine. I would love to see Maria Trader completely remade with Star Ocean 6 level of graphics, or maybe better. Oh yeah, I love Maria Mirage. Anyway, Nail Selfer. So yeah, remake, remaster, I don't care as long as they improve some of the biggest flaws the game has. And we don't want to get into the battle system. That's a topic of its own. That's an entire topic of its own. Like trying to alter the battle system a bit, maybe for the better understanding of the player. I don't know. Maria is the real MC, right? No, I mean, the MC is still Fate. Fate is the protagonist. But it's a game, it's like Tales of Cesteria. You know, and it didn't get a lot of shit because back in the day, no one cared. When the game came out, internet was still there, you know, was already there. But the people didn't make a big deal out of it as they did with Tales of Cesteria. And in Star Ocean 3, they make you believe Sophia is the female main character, and she's fucking not, and it's Maria. And then as soon as Maria appears, she takes over the story. I mean, everything's about her and Fate. So those are the two real protagonists, not Sophia. So it's the same in Tales of Cesteria, right? How the trailers made you believe that Alicia was supposed to be the heroine, and it turns out she wasn't, and Rose was. Sorry for the spoilers, guys, but you need to know. You won't get disappointed that way. I mean, and either way, I mean, Sophia in Star Ocean 3, one of the most generic female co-protagonists ever. I'm so glad Maria came along and took over. Battle system of Star Ocean 3 requires an entire seminar to cover, as do many of Tri-Ace RPGs, like Valkyrie Profile 2. Where will Uden Chronicle rise and fit in the tier list? I haven't played it. Regarding rock bands, what are your thoughts on Marilyn Manson? Outside of his controversies, I don't really care about his controversies. He creates those controversies on purpose to get more famous and more attention. It's clear that way, and he said so himself. It's not like he's one of those people who creates controversies and then lie about it. No, he admits that. He's been that way since the beginning. Since Marilyn Manson, the Spooky Kids. I don't like Marilyn Manson. I'm not a fan. His music doesn't make me feel anything. I think he's a bit of a poser. A really intelligent poser. Smart poser, but he's a poser nonetheless. He not a fan. He used to be a big fan when I was little, when I was like 13 years old. back when Antichrist Superstar came out, and then Mechanical Animals, and he was the talk of the show. Everybody was talking about him. So of course, I was a little kid, I was into rock and metal, so of course I became a fan. But it only lasted for a few years until I realized I wasn't really a big fan, that I had been a victim of all the advertisement he got, and the controversial advertisement he had gotten over the past few years with those albums. So eventually I stopped caring about him and moved on. I still like his first album. The very first one came out in 1994. It's called A Portrait of an American Family, I think. Killer tracks in there, man. It's one of my favorites. It's called Wrapped in Plastic. I know that fucking song on the guitar. And but that's it, that's as far as I go with Marilyn Manson. Not really a fan. Avenged Sevenfold, not really a fan either, to be honest. Great band, but no. Do you like the Strokes music? Yeah, who doesn't? I like some songs. I know some songs on the guitar. They're fun to play. It's a very creative band. I'm not really a fan, but I think the first three albums are really good. And they're just easy to listen to, easy to get into, easy to enjoy. It's a good band. I like the Strokes. Anyway, are there any good action RPGs you can recommend, like Xenoblade Chronicles 3, where the gameplay is not too fast and well-paced? It's hard to find games that compare to Xenoblade Chronicles 3. The best I can come up with is Final Fantasy 12 and White Knight Chronicles. Just White Knight Chronicles, let me tell you something. They aren't PS3 exclusive, but they're dirt cheap, I think. They aren't as great as Xenoblade Chronicles, okay? But they're good games, and the battle mechanics are similar. You don't button mash your controller, you just gotta wait and select actions while your characters take care of the rest. That's the Xenoblade Chronicles battle system in a nutshell. Right? That's what you do. As Final Fantasy 12 is the same. Those are my recommendations. Star Ocean 3 will be an HD remaster, as it has a PS2 era game engine, so making an upscaler and using AI to upscale the assets is probably easiest. You know what? They already did something similar. Like, it got an upscaled graphics treatment digitally on the PS4 and 5. It's there. And it looks great. It's in full HD. Yeah, but using AI to upscale the assets, well, that's more complicated, but yeah, it's easier. Obviously, a remaster is always going to be easier than remaking a game. Remaking a game is making a game. Doing it from scratch, from zero. I mean, you already have the story, right? You don't have to worry about that anymore. But everything else, graphics, controls, combat, you have to remake that. So, of course, a remaster is always going to be easier. Besides games, books, and music, what else are you into? Well, I'm into watching TV shows, watching YouTube videos, watching movies. Did I already say that? Obviously playing the guitar, but that's music. I guess socializing, but it's hard to socialize when you live in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Eating. Music is my biggest passion. I think I've never been able to decide what's my true biggest passion, video games or music. It's both up there equally. I've been tempted many times to start a YouTube channel, a music YouTube channel, but it's just full of problems, man. Copyright stuff and shit. I can't just talk about bands and obscure bands and without playing a little bit of their music. And that's gonna demonetize the video, so fuck, man. My respect goes to all of those music channels out there. I don't know how they do them, how they do their videos. I watched one of the biggest music channels ever on YouTube. That's Rick Beato. I'm a big fan. And he's always struggling with copyright claims and stuff for playing 10 fucking seconds of a song. I mean, it's horrible, man. It's fucking horrible. So chances are I'll probably never do a music channel. Maybe a music podcast or something. Xenosaga Games best battle system? What do you mean? Like, do you think the Xenosaga trilogy has the best battle system ever? Or are you trying to ask which of the three has the best combat? In that case, 3. Haven't tried Pal World. Not really interested in it. Are there any other music genres you like besides rock, metal, or video game OSTs? Yeah, I like a bit of blues, a bit of jazz, instrumental music, classic music, new age. But new age as long as it's like calm. Not really like into techno. Well, actually, yeah, I may like a bit of techno here and there. Agro tech. Osico is one of my favorite bands. So there you go. Gothic, obviously. Yeah, I like a lot of genres. The good genres. Not the shitty genres. The Star Ocean 3 on PlayStation is just an emulator, right? Yeah. No, it's not a remaster, you're right. Just like Legend of Dragoon, Rogue Galaxy, Wild Arms 1 and 2, and many of those games are digital only on PS4 and 5. Yeah, it's basically I wouldn't call it an emulator, but yeah, they are definitely not remastered. They just made the graphics look prettier, and the graphics are now full HD, 720p. That's all they did. Did you play any sports or any outdoor hobbies like airsoft? No, I used to play soccer when I was little. Swimming when I was like 10 years old, but I outgrew them. Never became a fan of sports afterwards and never played anything. When is your next book coming out? Man, last year was kind of like I get these anxiety moments. Is that lightning? I've been getting really fucking anxious since last year that I really want to write. I want to write this story that I've been cooking for several years, since 2018 actually. And I think it's going to be really hard for me not to sit down and write this very same year. Like, I need to go back to writing, because all I've been doing for the past several years is translating my books to English. And I still have a couple of them to go. So chances are I'm probably going to finish the translation of one of those two books and probably write a new one, because I have to, man. Since last year I've been getting these anxiety moments and I'm like, man, I really want to write it now, but I still need to make some decisions about writing it in Spanish or just in English, or in Spanish and translating it to English later. I don't know what I'm gonna do, how I will approach the story. I still need a lot of decisions, but the story and the character, the main character, have been decided already. Do you like River City Girls? I haven't played it. I'd love to play it though. It looks fun. Have you practiced martial arts? Never. You use AI for books? You can probably use AI for book images. No, I don't use AI. I use the Google Translator and to translate the whole book, and then I need to start correcting everything because it's not a great translator, but it's free. But yeah, AI for books. I mean, I don't know what you're referring to. I'm a writer, man. I'm a human being, and that's what I'm into. Me, the human being, writing the stories, not a fucking robot. Are you a fan of Breaking Benjamin? No, not really. Gal Guardians. Yeah, of course, it's a really hard game. Developed by Inti Creates. Those guys are hardcore. They do all the mighty... What's the series they did? The Mighty Switch Force? No, that's another game. Asher Gunvolt Striker, or is it Gunvolt Striker Asher, I think. Haven't played those games, but I know they're hardcore. Inspired by Mega Man. And Gal Guardian is inspired by Castlevania, by the retro Castlevania games, which used to be tough as nails. It makes sense. What do I do for a living? I am an author, self-published author, and I am a YouTuber. The guy you're seeing right now. Bullet for My Valentine. I know the band, I'm not really a fan. I think I like My Bloody Valentine a little bit more. He was talking about using AI to generate images for your book covers. Oh, gotcha. Okay, so no, same. I'd rather hire an artist, a human being. Deep L as a translator, and it's better. Yeah, the thing about translating my books is that I can't just use a software and that's it. let's publish the book. That will be so easy, right? No. I mean, I gotta read everything because we have a problem here in Mexico as opposed to English. English and Spanish, we have we have pronouns for everything. You know, like he, she, it, and they're used differently here in Mexico. So when you use a software to translate those, you kind of like, I mean, it misses a lot of it. I don't know how to explain it, man. It fucks up. The translation is poorly for those things. When we are referring, for example, to, I don't know, let me give you an example. In English, the sentence reads, she grabbed her sword and cut the guy's head off. Her being the problem right here. Her is just, I mean, the Spanish term for that is not female. It's just a term. It's different. So the pronouns, yeah. Sorry. What did I say? The pronouns? The pronouns? The pronouns, yeah. Or pronouns, whatever. So what I'm trying to explain is that the translation is going to take it literal, right? And it's confusing. It starts changing genders for no reason. I'm talking about a girl, and the translation made the girl a guy. Maybe the translators are woke. No, really, I mean, it's not like that. It's just, it's hard to translate. It's hard to let a freaking robot translate the whole thing for you. I always gotta go through the translation and read and correct everything because it also changes some sentences and makes no sense. So yeah, it's really hard, man. I'll try Deep L. I probably will. Thanks for the advice, man. But yeah, I'm still gonna have to read through the whole thing and correct it and edit it and maybe improve it. Anyway. What? Is pronounced really necessary in your honest opinion? I totally dislike it. Are pronouns. You mean like the gender bullshit that's going on nowadays? Yeah, it's totally unnecessary. But the if we're still talking about my books and the translation, it is necessary in Mexico because you have a female and a male pronoun for her and his, and we don't have that. We don't. It's just the same word for both, right? We do have she, he, and it, which is like él, ella, o eso, or esto, right? But when it comes to her, like she grabbed her sword, translates as ella agarró su espada. Su, S-U, that's not really feminine, female or male. It's just a word. And it's always been like that since ancient times. Right? So, yeah, that's the problem. How did I learn English so well? By practicing since I was like 12 years old. Talking to people in English, both online and in person. Pretty much. I think you already did this, but if not, I think you already did this, but if not, then will you make a video on games that are stuck on their native consoles that you would like to see remastered or remade for modern platforms? Yes, I already did that several times, and I just released a brand new one on the Nintendo DS. Top 5 exclusive JRPGs on the Nintendo DS a couple of days ago. You probably missed it. But yeah, I've done several videos on that. Are you planning to do video content besides top 10? You're probably new to this channel, aren't you? Go to my videos section right now and you'll see a shit ton of videos that are not top 10s. What kind of question is that, man? You can't just you can't honestly believe that all I do is top 10s. What the hell? In European Spanish, she, ella. So what is it in Mexico? Same! It's the same. I didn't mean she, he, it. I mean her and his. That's what I mean. Those words don't exist in Mexico. In Spanish. Exactly. Thank you, Steven. What's your take on the Cosmic Fantasy games? They were both ported to the Switch recently in one collection with an English translation. That's awesome. I played Cosmic Fantasy 2 on the TurboGrafx 16. Yeah, not that fun. It isn't a bad game, but it's not that great either. I liked it, but I never finished it. So, I don't know, maybe I'll give him a chance on the Switch one of these days, if I can. Exactly. Thank you, Mad Radio. That's what I'm trying to say, man. Nemo Propaganda, thanks a bunch, man. He says, thank you for never being afraid to speak about these topics. These Q&As are my favorites. Ah, man. No, you're welcome. You're welcome. I mean, it's just who I am. I don't like being... I mean, I'm a 90s kid. Probably like you. I think you're about my age. So we grew up in that era of people rebelling against censorship and speaking about things that nobody wants to talk about. And now that it's coming back to that, there's a lot of topics and things that nobody wants to talk about because they're afraid. You know, it's... I mean, I can't just give in, man. I can't give in to that. I can't give in to that. Okay, I have to talk about it. But yeah, I've gotten a lot of backlash thanks to that. And a lot of YouTube has grounded me and punished me for that. Because this is a website that kind of prohibits you to speak about certain topics. Or if you're going to talk about them, you need to favor the left wing. Will you date a non-gamer girl? Sure. I need to have something in common with a woman. Because I don't believe... well, it's not that I don't believe. Is that I don't think for me personally, a relationship with a girl with nothing in common will work. For me. It works for a lot of people. Good for them. Not for me. I need to have at least one passion in common. If she can care less about video games, but if she appreciates good music, we're gonna get along. Or if she... Yeah, for me personally, it needs to be one of either, man. Both or at least one. Because that's what I do. You know, music and video games and books. Well, maybe she can like books and not the rest. There's a term for people who read a lot of books, right? Book files? No, that's not a term. I know the term in Spanish, just not in English. But yeah, maybe if she's a book reader, hardcore book reader, bookworm. Thanks, Mad Radio. Yeah, the relationship could still work, right? Yeah, we need to share at least one of my 3 biggest passions, right? If we aren't sharing any, it's not gonna work. Hell, I don't think even a simple friendship could work. I'm not friends with anybody who doesn't share at least one of my 3 biggest passions. Like, nope. Well, actually I do have a friend. We don't like the same music. He doesn't care about video games. He doesn't care about books. But we barely talk. See what I mean? We have nothing in common to talk about. What the fuck are we supposed to talk about? We're friends, you know, but we talk like once or twice a year, and that's it. See what I mean? 90s was not a politically correct era. Now we live in a politically correct times. Yeah, pretty much like the 50s. And somehow the 80s, I always felt like the 80s was... well, I was born in the 80s, and I was still a little kid. But I learned about what happened in the 80s throughout the years. And there was a lot of censorship and a lot of political correctness in the 80s. So yeah, but the 50s was way worse. And nowadays it's just the epitome of worst. Nowadays it's fucking ridiculous. And I can't believe that a lot of politically incorrect stuff from back then is now politically correct. Like all the LGBT stuff. That used to be like nobody wanted to talk about that, and that was like a topic, like if you talked about that, like South Park, for example. South Park, I've been rewatching all South Park from the first seasons. I'm on season 4, and season 4 came out in 2001, I think. And wow, back then, they talked about all of these topics, and that was normal. No, that wasn't normal. That was politically incorrect back then. Talking about gay stuff and shit, and nowadays it's the other way around. It became the new political correctness, right? How ironic is that, man? That's just wow. What? That's just weird, man. One day I'll come home from work while my wife is watching 90 Day Fiance, and I'll see Mr. Erick Landon on there. No, man. No way, man. I almost said the expression in Spanish. No way. That's never gonna happen. It's kind of hard to meet girls when you live in the middle of nowhere like I do. I live in the city's ass. All the way where nobody goes, nobody ventures, everything is far away. Every single retro store is extremely far away from where I lived. I haven't gone to a single retro store since I came back from Canada. So it's been 3 years. I've been to retail stores, which are inside malls and supermarkets and stuff. But I haven't gone like to an independent retro gaming store. I haven't been in one in over 3 years. Can you believe that? Or a flea market. It's just everything's so far away from where I live. This music, what the fuck, man? Oh, Tales of Destiny 2. I've barely played this game because it isn't fully fan translated. That's why I didn't recognize the song, but I was like, this sounds like Motoi Sakuraba, it's gotta be him. And it was. I missed last week's show. I don't see it on your channel. Do you have it available somewhere? I am subscribed on Patreon. Is it going to be there? You mean the Q&A? It's not on the playlist? All of my Q&As go unlisted after a few hours. Like this one, about in 4 or 5 hours, maybe less, it's gonna be unlisted. But you can find every single Q&A on a playlist. There's a big playlist. You go to the playlist section of my channel and you see all of them there. See the Q&A live streams, that's the name of a playlist. It's gotta be there. If it's not, let me know. Maybe I didn't put it there. Can you recommend any edgy sci-fi RPG that feels inspired by Kamen Rider? Not really a fan of Kamen Rider, or more like I don't know much about it. I just know it's an ancient Japanese series. So I don't know how to answer that question, man, sorry. Yeah, online dating seems like the best thing to do. Yeah, but my problem is that I'm 38 years old. Imagine, it's hard for someone like me, It's just, yeah. Good song, right? This battle theme is bonkers. I am worried that Persona 3 Reload changed things like the beach scene. A Persona 4 remake will be totally ruined. What do you mean? I remember the beach scene. That's where you meet Aigis, actually. And then there's the, that famous scene where the guys try to spy on the girls in the bath. The hot springs. That's a really funny scene. But what worries you? What do you think is gonna be changed? Can you say that you've already been through a midlife crisis? Or are you still in one? Neither. I'm probably gonna get there eventually. People our age don't get midlife crisis. We never grew up far enough. We're still immature. Oh, so you basically want a superhero sci-fi RPG. There's gotta be a Kamen Rider RPG, right? Or the Dragon Ball Z, but they aren't exactly superheroes, although maybe. I don't know, man. It's a superhero sci-fi RPG. I can't think of any. There isn't? I mean, there's gotta be one in Japan. There's just fucking gotta be one over there, man. But I don't know. I can't think of any. And there's probably one, but I can't remember it right now. I can't think of one right now. Super Robot Tyson is probably as good as you're gonna get. Well, yeah. No. Well, maybe, yeah. What's up with this guy? Yellow Super Nintendo? I don't know who that guy is. Did you play any of these modern SNES inspired RPGs? Chained Echo, Sea of Stars, WrestleQuest? Haven't played any of those. I played a shit ton of RPGs inspired by SNES JRPGs though. But Chained Echo, Sea of Stars, I know those are the big ones. Haven't played those. I played the Sea of Stars demo though. And it was pretty solid. You know, but it was pretty short. It's just one town, one mission, and the boss fight. You can beat it in like less than 1 hour. Didn't do much for me, the demo, but what little I played, I really enjoyed. In the original Persona 3, the beach scene, the boys try to pick up girls, but one girl turns out to be a guy, and the guys feel uncomfortable. Oh, so you feel that scene is going to be censored. It's definitely going to be censored, man. Don't you remember what happened with Persona 5 a long time ago? For the Royal Edition, Atlus was forced. Well, I always suspected they weren't forced, more like they changed the scene themselves. They made it seem like the LGBT put a lot of pressure into them, but that's fucking bullshit. Atlus did it themselves. They censored themselves because they wanted to. And they changed the scene where Ryuji and the main character visit some kind of place. And there's these two guys are gay, and they're pretty funny guys. They're like the type of guys that are like that, right? I don't even know what to call them in English. Funny scene, but it pissed off a lot of people, and that was wrong, and they changed the scene. They removed it. So yeah, you bet your ass in the remake, that's probably what's going to happen. That scene's going to be altered or removed. Mark my words. I can't believe there's a boxing RPG. Punch Club, that's the name. Holy shit. I think Sega forced Atlus. No, I don't think so, man. Atlus nowadays is one of the wokest fucking companies in the world. And since Atlus belongs to Sega, maybe you have a point. $70 though, that's a hard pillow to swallow for P3. $70 in your country, in mine it's gonna be like $90. Pissed off like 0.00001% of people. Actually, no, it's a little bit more than that, but yeah. They pissed off the minority. That's sadly nowadays the new social elite. There's also a motor racing RPGs. Yeah, there's been a bunch of those already. There's one classic from the 90s. Forget its name. It influenced some RPGs in there. Car Battler Joe on the Game Boy Advance being one of those. I remember playing Shadow Hearts using a game magazine as currency. It was a great running joke. Just go. Oh, what in Shadow Hearts 1 or 2 or 1 and 2? The guys who run the store, those guys are gay, right? Just got back into our JRPG stuff after not gaming for many years. Wow. Just about finished Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Any recommendations next? Well, welcome to Erick Landon RPG, the channel of recommendations galore. You can watch any video here, man. You'll get a shit ton of recommendations. When there are 5 versions of the same game, then it becomes harder to know which version isn't censored. Yeah, pretty much. It's amazing that there's no dance game of Persona 5. Oh, there will be. Mark my words. Oh, there's probably going to be a DLC for the others. A $50 DLC. $49.99, baby. Persona 5 dancing. Shit, I danced to... what was the name of the song? The bass theme, I forget. I wouldn't dance to Last Surprise, though. No way. I will dance to the instrumental version. Well, even the singing version of the your room. What's the name of the song? God damn it! You know the song I'm referring to, right? The famous room theme, up there in your room, the cafe theme. I love that fucking song. I mean, I'm being sarcastic. Of course, you can't dance to that. It's just a song to chill. No more Persona dance games. More like no more Persona 5 games. Enough. Move on, Atlus. Move the fuck on. The cafe theme, yeah. I love rhythm games, but Persona dancing was a mistake. I haven't played it, and I don't have any plans on playing them anytime soon. I don't remember the car racing RPG, the name. That was it came out in the 90s. I think it was released on the PC Engine. And obviously computer systems, but I can't remember the name for some reason. And now I want to know, goddammit. So I'm going to look it up right now. Car racing RPG. No, there's some of them like Mad Max, Racing Lagoon, Drift City, Car Battler Joe, which is inspired by this other game. Resistor seems to be a thrilling racing RPG with explosive action, says this YouTuber here. And I don't remember that freaking the crew. Nah, see, everything's an RPG nowadays. Everything. There isn't a single video game genre nowadays that doesn't have RPG elements. Death Rally, Racing Lagoon, no. I'm talking about an older one. I think the Car Battler Joe Wikipedia says it mentions it. Car Battler Joe. Here it is in Car Battler Joe. It says it's inspired by, come on, Auto Duel from 1985. Auto Duel. That's no, it's way back in 1985, man. That's the first racing RPG ever, I think. Came out for the Amiga, the Apple II, the Atari 8-bit, Atari ST, Commodore 64, MS-DOS, and Macintosh. Holy shit. For every single console that I don't really give a shit about. There we go. Auto Duel. That's like I think that's the godfather of racing RPGs. Atlus should remake Princess Crown. But I know it's impossible. What makes you think it's impossible? I don't think it's impossible. More like they don't really care about it. Have you looked into the Kai Magazine New Genesis game like Life on Mars and Life on Earth? Never heard of those. Late 80s arcade gaming and its best in 2024. At its best? No, I haven't heard of those games. Twisted Metal was fun. It was thanks to Twisted Metal 3 that I found out about the band Pitch Shifter, which I became a big fan of. I know some of their songs on the guitar. Microwave, Wizig, Everything's Fucked, Please Sir, Triad. Love Pitch Shifter. And I found out about the band thanks to Twisted Metal 3. I remember some of those games used to have the soundtrack in the disc. So the game disc, you put it on your stereo, your music player, and it played the soundtrack. That was awesome. That was cool, man. Oh, for sure, I don't think Princess Crown will be successful. But I feel like Vanillaware has gotten more popular over the past several years. It's a big company now because it partnered with Atlus again. They're releasing Unicorn Overlord in a bit, but I agree. While I agree that Princess Crown will be profitable, I still think it will be a good idea. I don't think it's gonna be a commercial success like you say, but it's definitely going to be partially successful nowadays. Maybe the time is right for Princess Crown to be remade or remastered, or at least officially translated to English. If at least digital, maybe. But it's Atlus. They are known for porting or remastering games. Any new waifus in recent games this month? Well, I'm playing The Witcher 3. And obviously Jennifer is the waifu there. City 2. I think Triss Marigold looks really pretty. Triss Marigold in The Witcher 3. The other girl, the mage girl, the witch. Forget her name. No, I just beat her quest like 3 days ago. She wasn't that hot. Poisonette in Poison Control. But you cannot go wrong with the girls from Banner of the Maid. Few people know about Princess Crown. So many people may say that it's an Odin Sphere ripoff. That's interesting because Odin Sphere is a ripoff of Princess Crown. Same developers, so the term ripoff is fucking stupid there. Princess Crown was the very first game George Kamitami worked on when the name Vanillaware didn't even exist. He created Vanillaware in order to make Princess Crown 2, which is Odin Sphere. But he couldn't call it Princess Crown because he wasn't working for Atlus anymore. So what happened? He had to change the name and use a different name. It's pretty much Odin Sphere is a spiritual successor to Princess Crown. How can Princess Crown be an Odin Sphere spin-off? That's just ridiculous. So you are actually playing a PC game. What? The Witcher 3 is everywhere, man. I'm playing it on the PS4. Triss Marigold from Witcher 2 had a Playboy spread. You should look it up. Did you play the Galgon games? Nah. I know those games are little girls, not little girls, like fan service girls, shooting at each other and removing clothes, and not really my type of game. Do you like the story of King Arthur? We'd love to see a well-made RPG based on that. There's a beat-em-up on the Super Nintendo based on that. And there's also the Fate series. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the King Arthur story or history. Don't really care much for it. But yeah, would be interesting to see an RPG based on it. As long as they don't take a lot of liberties. Like The Last Kingdom did with the fucking movie. Is the music too loud? It's fine, right? I think the music is fine. If anything, it's too low, I think. Yeah, here you go. Should be a little bit louder now. Louder. Is Sakura Wars so long my love a JRPG? Well, it's one of those games that are arguably yes and arguably not. Because it's mostly a visual novel, tons of decision making, but then again the decisions affect your relationship with the heroines, so choices matter. That's an RPG element in there. So you got your strategic battle system placed on grids, you got your skills, but you can't customize the skills, right? You learn them, but you don't even know if you learn them until you are in the next mission. And then there's no leveling system, except it's hidden, and it's based on your relationships with the girls. The higher your bond with a girl, the better that girl will perform in battle. So the girl will be more powerful, her mech will be more powerful, her robot. But you don't level up like you can grind. And it's a game where you just can go back and grind. And, you see where I'm going, right? It's one of those that are like, maybe it is, maybe not. It feels like one to me, so I call it a JRPG. But it's also arguably not. It's one of those games, man. That game of 3DO and this anime girl running and escaping from a monster, I saw that in an AVGN video. Space Gal may be the name. No idea which game you're talking about, man. Is there a fan translation of Sakura Wars from Saturn and Dreamcast? Dreamcast, I don't know. Sega Saturn, yes. The Sega Saturn games have been translated. I don't know about the Dreamcast versions. I don't know if those are fan translated. Probably. Ooh, this song, man. Holy shit. That's the game it belongs to. Pretty good, huh? Anyway. That is the main menu theme of Vanguard Bandits. You boot the game up, and that's the first thing you see and hear. Oh man, it's so 90s, that song, and it's so cheesy, kind of cheesy, but I mean, it's a fucking awesome song, man. I think the singer doesn't sing anymore. I forget her name. Great singer, though. Have you played Magic Knight Rayearth on Sega? You mean the Sega Saturn game? Yes, I did. It's a fun game. It aged decently, you know, but it wasn't that fun to play at first at the beginning. The controls are kind of very limited. And I remember that too. It was just kind of frustrating to fight the monsters and the bosses. But it's a good game, though. It's a good game. Would love to see a remake of it or something. Makes me want to watch old Macross. Yeah, all of those Robotech, all of those anime series from the 80s and 90s had similar themes. It was awesome. Reworking designs, but at least some of the guys, including the director Victor Ireland, found that Gaijin works. And they're still active. They have localized some games. And now the Suikoden 5, the best town theme in the Suikoden series, is this one. A great song to end the video. Last questions, guys. I've said this before. I don't know what kind of instrument that is. The lead instrument here. Could you look at King's Vein? It's a tactical RPG where you can freeze the ground and bash an enemy across the ice. That sounds fun. I don't know that game. Is that an indie RPG or a Western RPG? Or one of those that never came out of Japan? Haven't played it. Well, guys. Indie, very recent release. Oh, okay. If you could shut down any single game studio developer for good, who would it be? Square Enix. Do you even have to ask? Square fucking Enix. Or Atlus USA. But then everybody will bitch that no one's localizing the Atlus games. They can find another publisher. Yeah. That's the last question, everybody. Thanks for asking. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being a fan. Thanks to everybody who donated today. Long live Kenny McCormick from South Park. And long live Suikoden 5. Hopefully Konami will bring it back someday so everybody can play it and enjoy its greatness. Yeah, that's right. See you next time, everybody. I'm not sure if I'll show up next Sunday, by the way. I want to say that. I'm not sure if there's going to be a Q&A. If you don't see me in the first half hour, it means that there won't be a Q&A next Sunday. But I'll try to be there. I'll try to be here. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.